Welcome back to the horribly misnamed Prison of Hope. We've reached another pair of stairs, but this time we're descending. Another victim of collision torture. When will Latria ban this brutal practice? That was a rather interesting sight that I'm going to neglect to talk about now. I'd rather you figure out what was going on there when the avenue is available for us to do something about it. Instead, we'll plunge deeper and lift this rickety gate. These deeper sections of the prison are where things begin to get a bit more easier to wrap your head around. They're more distinct than the identical beginning areas that only differ in height. Oh, nice. A crossbow. We certainly don't need any more of those, but thank you very much. I don't believe that we have the key to this floor yet, so we'll simply make our way forward. This mind flayer is very smart, taking up a position where we would certainly be killed, if not for this small section that we can take cover in.
Well, you are a sane one, aren't you? My name is Ridiel. Please, liberate me from this cell. I have precious little time. I must retrieve an article from my corpse. As you can see, the only thing that remains of me is my soul. My body is trapped in another cell. I fancy it a fine, rotten mess by now. I've no interest in my corporeal flesh, but I left upon my person a keepsake of my late wife. I will soon fade into the beyond. My only wish is to do so near that token of my beloved. A retainer to the king once held the key to this cell. That ebony swine with his gluttonous, swaying belly. As you can see, my body,
This is the man that kept making all that racket. Lord Rydell is another NPC tied with this world's tendency, as you'll see later on. Either way, you'll notice that the subtitles very clearly said Rydell, though he introduced himself as Ridiel. This is curious, and it's a bit challenging to truly pinpoint which is correct. I believe the spoken line to be the most likely correct one. Demon Souls, and also Dark Souls, do not have Japanese dubs, even in the Japanese releases, and the subtitles of the Japanese version clearly read Ridiel with a second Y after the D. However, also on the Japanese version, Ridiel's loading screen doesn't have the extra Y. In the NA and EU releases, the subtitles were altered to remove the Y. This also carries over into the English strategy guide. It's up to you to figure out for yourself which one you think is correct, and while I think Ridiel is more correct, it's hard to come back from years of saying Rydell.
please, help me.
On this corpse, in this more wide and open section of the jail, we find the fluted armor set, which is the starting armor for the Knight class. It also serves as this game's quote-unquote iconic armor set, as the character featured on the cover of the game, as well as in the opening cinematic, is wearing it. As a result of my poor planning, we can't pick up all of it, so I have to equip the Ring of Herculean Strength that Thomas gave us. And I really do have to, by the way. If you try to loot a body but cannot handle the weight of the items, rather than returning to the body, they get pushed to the floor as if you dropped them. Which means, if we were to log off the game or return to the Nexus, the items would be permanently lost. This horrifying amalgamation of corpses has powerful offensive magic and an extremely deadly close-range melee attack in the form of arms gripping swords that protrude out of it. I'm going to just maintain a safe distance and burn it to death. I can't help but wonder if the developers had trouble creating a death animation for this enemy and just decided to skip it entirely. The loot that's to be found in these cells isn't the greatest or even necessary for us, but it's on the way to a somewhat hidden path, so we'll check them out. After checking my inventory weight to see if I'd be able to continue picking up loot, we'll head up to this rubble and pick up an S-Stock, which I used to think was the only way to acquire it in the game. That prison dregling really taught me a thing or two. On the corpse strung over the rail is more moonlight stone. The hole here is the quintessential example of the darkness in this world screwing you over. We have to head back around to check the cells on the opposite side. Honestly, I'm not even going to bother with that crystal lizard. I'll probably just sprint to my doom anyway. I wish I had $1 for the amount of times I fell down this exact hole in my first playthrough. Even now, after beating this game so many times, I proceed on my tiptoes to make sure I don't fall. I even have my shield up for some reason. What's up with that? This path currently leads to nothing but a dead end, but I'd like you to keep it in mind for later. Was ominous. Probably nothing to worry about, though. Off of this railing, we can run to the end, past where we just looted the S-Stock and the mechanical whirring of the contraption at the end of the bridge for a mercury rapier, aka a poison rapier. the opposite side, past some coffins, is another pathway that leads to a stone of ephemeral eyes. Look at how long you have to walk against that platform in order to lift yourself up. On my first playthrough, unaware of the little vault maneuver that your character could perform, I just threw myself over the edge and redid the level to claim my stone of ephemeral eyes, not even realizing that it'd be kind of unfair to a player who was already in body form for the game to just nullify their accomplishment or previous stone of ephemeral eyes. Holy death trap! I was a little scaredy cat at this part and mashed the item pickup prompt before dodge rolling away for fear of those arrows even grazing me. What I picked up was the Prison of Hope Warden's Key, which we need if we want to get around this machine. It's possible to completely forego this bit and simply dodge roll through the arrows if we were skilled enough. It's a path that speedrunners take to get through the level quicker, but if there's anything that I am not with Demon Souls, it's a speedrunner, so let's get around it. I am also bad at navigating, because I went back into the dead-end path just now, but disregard that. The Warden's Key requires a bit of backtracking to use, but not that much, giving us only a brief return to the survival horror nightmare that the beginning of this stage was. Now it's just a regular horror nightmare without video game genre. I'm going to open up the other gate just for completion's sake before continuing on. This gate right here is another example of something that infuses me with the urge of wanting to explore where the game doesn't allow me to, even though I know full well that there's quite literally nothing there. Beyond the fog gate on the floor of this tower is where we need to be to disable the arrow trap, but let's head up first. We might as well if we'll be exploring everything. Looking below, you can see what is very clearly a church, but we just picked up the silver catalyst, which is an amazing piece of equipment as it increases our maximum MP by 20%. This boon is only available when it's actively held in one of our hands, though, and I'm not confident enough to drop my shield. Still, it will be extremely useful for sections that call for extended magic use. Also, I'd like to point out the catalyst item description, which references magicians of the Yormdar lineage. idea who they are or where they come from aside from the obvious answer of Latria. Pretty sure that's the only mention of the name in the game at all, aside from the silver coronet, which we picked up in video 11. But it does tell us that the corpse on top of the church either was one of these fabled Yormdar magicians, or killed one and took it from them. Or maybe it was a gift. Who knows, really? With the contraption shut off, the loot on the bridge is ours for the taking. Unfortunately, it's mostly just soul items, but a stone of ephemeral eyes awaits us at the far end. If I didn't know better, by the by, I'd have no trouble believing that Patches was the one who turned that thing on.